Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Horticultural Hails. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. And it's a lovely surprise as I'm doing my intro. Somebody's just walked in the greenhouse. Oh, she's so cute. Welcome. Over this side, if my editing is as brilliant as usual, there will be a list of everything we are going to go through. So first off, I will be planting some winter lettuces. Then I will be sowing some cress. And then I will give you a quick loop around the garden just to explain what I'll be doing over the next few weeks, probably off camera. But no, welcome, and I shall get on with the video. So next up, what I'm going to be showing you is how to plant winter lettuces. Now, I will be planting what looks to be loads and loads and loads, but that's because I'm doing some for my grandparents as well. I will be planting some more in a couple of weeks. That's just to keep them going throughout winter and to have constant flow, because by the time these have germinated and grown and I've given some to my grandparents, I put it in the garden. The next lot, which I put in 2 to 3 weeks later, will then be up and then ready to plant, and then they're staggered and it just continues on and on and on, etc. through winter. These I will be germinating in the greenhouse, but as you can see, I have this magical piece of kit called a propagator. And as I've explained before, this is like a mini greenhouse in a greenhouse, and this helps me out a lot when it comes to winter sowing. So all I'm going to do first is just fill this almost all the way to the top. As you can see here, I don't know whether you can see that on camera, but there's a black line just in here. So I usually fill that to there. It's about a centimetre from the top, and then I just top it up to the top with soil. Then when they germinate through, they've still got a good way to grow through, and it just helps the plants go stronger. So I'll get on with that, and I shall see you in a minute. So now this is pretty much up to that line. All I have, this is an old concrete float that I've just sanded down the bottom of. And all I do is I just gently tamp it down so it's roughly level. If I need to, I can add a little bit more compost. Yeah, just want a little bit more on this edge. Now this compost that I'm using is actually a mixture I did. So I did buy some garden compost from my local garden centre, obviously. And what I've done, is I have some manure left over from during the summer, and I've just mixed it in with it, and it just makes it a little bit more nutrient rich. Right, that's about there. That's not too tamped down. I'll still go through that. Yeah, you don't want to tamp it down too much, else it becomes too firm and the roots can't go through and they will not establish properly. Same with when you're doing the top, which you'll come to. When you cover them with compost, you don't want to cover them and press down too hard, else the shoots can't come up through the soil. So now I have some lettuce seed here. I'm going to put it, which hand do I want? This one. I'm just going to put some in my hand, roughly as many as I want. And then just very, very, very finely scatter them around. Now, because I'm scattering around them around on this compost like this, it will mean I will have to thin them out. And you don't want to sow them too heavy, else they compete too much and you might get too many plants. Which you don't want, because you want to save as much seed as possible. And now that that's done, all I'm going to do is cover it with compost and then tamp it down again. So I'll time lapse that bit. There you are. So, as I said earlier, usually I use this for my winter sowing. With these, because the tray is so big, I won't be doing. I shall be using some leftover small pieces of glass from when I built the greenhouse. Now these, and all I do is just pop them on the top like this, and then it does the same thing as the propagator would, but it heats the soil directly, which helps the germination. So if we do get any sun, it'll still keep it warm. Right, I shall get on with the next part and see you in a minute. So the next thing I'm going to show you is sowing cress seed. This is actually quite simple. You can do this in any home, not just in a big garden like I've got. So you could do this in, say, a flat and just leave it on your windowsill. In fact, I'm going to take this inside because it's warmer at the moment. So what you want to do is, this is cotton wool, is rough cut it to the size of the pot you're using. So I'm going to do this in 2 pieces because I've got this gap. Like so. Now I have 2 pieces, and then what you want to do is, I have just down here, I'll put that to one side, my watering can, and you want to just give it a gentle soak with water. And this just moistens the cotton wool, and then when they germinate, as in the cress seeds, they then go into the cotton wool and spread inside the cotton wool underneath, and then absorb all this moisture. Do a little bit on the sides, just in case. There we are, that looks good. And then, if I move this out of the way, you get your cress seeds. And then you want to just gently, quite thickly actually, just spread them all over the damp cotton wool, just like this. Now these you can grow watercress. I personally don't, because obviously you need a lot of water. But these are brilliant in sandwiches, mostly. If you say hard boiled eggs and then basically scramble them, mix them really, really hard with mayonnaise, egg and cress sandwiches. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. You can also use them in salads themselves. I find it very, very useful. And as I said, they go well with eggs. I guess you could also put them in an omelette if you really wanted to. Well, that was a bit thick. I'll spread those out a little bit. Just like that. And then you'll need to keep these, at the moment, because it's winter, you'll need to keep these inside because they like to germinate around 20 degrees. You can leave them in the greenhouse this time of year if it is quite sunny, because then the greenhouse still maintains a nice ambient temperature. But at the moment, just looking at my thermometer here, it is currently 13 degrees, which is not ideal germinating temperature. So I'll take these inside. If you are watching this during the summer, you can leave them in the greenhouse, and these will germinate, would you believe, in maybe 2 days. And you'll actually see, now they're like this, you can watch them germinate and grow. It's brilliant for younger children as well. It's to get them involved in gardening. It's literally, you don't have to do even this size. You can do something this big just for one sandwich, but it's brilliant, and the reactions they have of watching them grow are absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to take this inside and we shall move on with the video. So as promised, I'm now going to take you on a tour of the garden. So to start with, this is the greenhouse. I don't know whether you can see Bobby's just over there. Bobby! Bobby! She's not going to look at me. To So no, as promised, greenhouse is absolutely wonderful. The chilies are growing prolifically. We sadly didn't win that competition, by the way. We came fourth, which is still very good. The final length was roughly 23 centimetres, which is still really big for a chili. I think the winner came in about 26, and third place just edged over 23. I think it was like 23 centimetres and 3 millimetres. So sadly, we didn't quite get there. But the chilies have still grown. They are still producing chilies, as you can see by Bobby. They are still producing, and we are still eating them. The beefsteak tomatoes, as you can probably see there, do look a little bit worse for wear, but that's because they're pretty much over now. They are still producing. Luckily, they'll probably, just before they die, they'll probably rush ripen these and we'll still get some. The tomatoes are really green. They are still, as you can see, producing some cherry tomatoes. But as I've done under here, the lot of these leaves haven't taken off yet, so I don't know whether they might come in for another crop. Because if you take these leaves off, it just lets the bottom air a little bit more. And it helps, especially this time of year, because the greenhouses are closed up a lot more, it just helps the air circulate underneath the plants. Coming to the outside, this is going to be cleaned up in the next few days, seeing as everything's starting to die back now. The uchikikuri, as you can probably see, are completely finished. So are these beans. These beans are starting to die back. We had our last meal with these a couple of days ago. The celeriac, they're growing well. The leeks, they look droopy, but they'll be fine. We've used up all our lettuces, and then this is the rest of the garden. It's all gone. This is just ash that we use because we burn an open fire, and it's really good for the garden. And now look. Hello again. Hey. You've really come and helped me today, haven't you? But now on that note, thank you for joining me. If you have enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. But better yet, join me next week for more horticultural hails. And look who's turned up as well.